Like Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul is a show that has so many amazing episodes, and it's hard to put a list together when discussing which installments really propelled the show to its furthest heights. Really, there's no bad episode in this show, and each one either carries a distinct cinematic style or interrogates an aspect of its central characters through micro storytelling. It's powerful and everlasting television that is surely going to get even more analysis as the years go on. But in this video essay, I'm going to be breaking down what I think are the best episodes of Better Call Saul and why they helped to make the entirety of this show a masterpiece. There will be spoilers in this video, so if you haven't finished Better Call Saul, then I would recommend catching up before watching this upload. But before I get into it, if you want to see more topical videos on Better Call Saul and the Breaking Bad universe, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating, subscribing to the channel, and turning on your notifications. Also, feel free to check me out on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Instagram at Cortex Videos, which is all linked in the description below. But without further ado, let's dive into the best episodes of Better Call Saul. Starting with Season 1, there were 2 episodes that for me really showed that the prequel series was one that could make the storytelling surrounding the supporting players as important as the parent show. They showed that it wouldn't be scared to take unexpected avenues, but ones that deepened the motivation surrounding these characters. Episode 5 of Season 1, which was titled 5-0, was a clear example of that right from the beginning, and it showed that Jonathan Banks, Mike Ehrmantraut, would play a very big role on Better Call Saul. We got to see exactly how the show would work as an effective origin story for both him and Jimmy McGill. We see both men's moral downfalls within the first few seasons, but it was in 5-0 that we especially saw the hitman's central motivation unfold and what led him to being the person we knew in Breaking Bad. Right from the early scenes with Mike patching himself up in a train station's toilet and reconnecting with his dead son's wife Stacy, we knew this was going to be more personal than what we've seen from him before. We watch as Mike hunts down the dirty cops who murdered his son, and he tells his killers that he knew what they did. He did so pretending that he was in a drunken state, but once they take him to the location to shoot him, Mike reveals that he was completely sober and ends up killing the both of them in a state of revenge. It gave us a lot of depth surrounding his character and highlighted the grief that fuels his strong and silent persona. This non-linear episode recaps the retired officer's past and what he brings to those who killed his son. In one very personal and regret-filled episode, the showrunners were able to make Mike a more fleshed out figure than we'd ever seen before, and it's definitely one of my personal favourites from the earlier seasons. The other episode from Season 1 that's really stuck with me over time is the penultimate episode, Pimento. This episode for me was the one that really delivered on the nuanced character moments that the show really based its development upon, and it's in the superb performances of Jimmy and Chuck that we truly see that. We get the moment where Jimmy confronts his brother about how he stopped him from getting a position at HHM, and it ultimately gives us the big turning point in their relationship. At the time, we were really on Jimmy's side in wanting him to succeed with this case and be successful as a lawyer after all the hardship he's gone through. And it's satisfying to see him unload his frustration and walk out on Chuck by the end of the episode. But looking back on it now, we see exactly why Chuck made that phone call to Howard before the meeting, and it makes the emotional beats towards the end of this show, and specifically Chuck's character, that much more impactful. We got excellent performances from Bob Odenkirk and Michael McKean here, and it became an important step towards Jimmy becoming the conman lawyer we see in later seasons. I have to also mention the unforgettable scenes with Mike and Nacho that really bring a sense of the genius comedy that this prequel show does so well. It's an underrated episode in my eyes, and I think along with 5-0, it really showed that the start of this show came out firing with its own identity. Now I come to probably the episode that many fans will have towards the top of their lists, and it's no surprise that Season 3's Chicanery is on mine too. One of Better Call Saul's greatest episodes is the spectacular payoff we all waited for with the emotional courtroom drama installment between both central brothers. The confrontation between Jimmy and Chuck all built up to this very episode, and while we know that Saul uses his best tricks in the book when it comes to defeating those who challenge, we never thought it would get to a point where it would be this personal. In this episode, the con involves Jimmy saving his own career by destroying his own brothers and using his illness against him. We see Chuck lose the high ground and deliver one of, if not the greatest speeches of the entire show, and it highlights for one, how ugly Jimmy has truly become, 2, the torment that Chuck thought he was facing, and 3, the beginning of the end for his character. The cinematography and acting tells you so much in just single frames about what position the characters are in and what position they'll be in come the end of this episode. And that haunting shot at the end with the exit sign above Chuck is the most perfect way to conclude it. A shot that would also be used in the very last episode of the show to highlight the end of Jimmy's story, but one in which he owned up to his regrets. One of those biggest regrets is Chuck, and it was the Chicanery episode that really provided the exploding moment for that theme of overcoming regret to fully develop. Moving on to another all-time favourite of mine, Season 4's winner is the complete example of Better Call Saul's ability to successfully make us care about multiple plot threads in a singular episode. On one side, we have Mike and Gus trying to catch and take care of a fleeing Werner while dealing with Lalo all at the same time, but then there's the plotline of Jimmy trying to gain a chance at rebuilding his legacy after Chuck's death. This rebuilding, however, involves a false set of statements by him in a courtroom as he plays everyone, including Kim, by faking an emotional reconciliation. And that's not it, because Jimmy officially becomes Saul Goodman, changing his lawyer name and stunning Kim on the walkaway with his now famous line, "It's all good, man." Whether it's Jimmy continuing the cycle that Chuck always foresaw, or Mike becoming an emotionally rooted cartel killer, the writers end Season 4 with a satisfying conclusion that sets us on the path towards Breaking Bad. Starting the episode with Jimmy and Chuck singing "The Winner Takes It All" in a shared happy moment, and contrasting that with the ending scenes of Jimmy faking an emotional catharsis in a courtroom using his brother's name, makes the unfolding events even more effective. Winner is an episode that shows Jimmy winning, but leaves us with a suggestion that his humanity is diminishing by the second. This brings us to Season 5, and like I said in my seasons ranked video for Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad the other week, this is one of my favourite seasons of the entire show. Bagman is one of the reasons for that, an episode which throws Jimmy right into the real dangers of the drug war, with Mike having to come to his rescue. The two make their way across the barren desert on foot, with Jimmy carrying huge sacks of cash in the blistering heat. It's an exhausting episode to watch from that perspective, and with Vince Gilligan directing, he makes sure that it's a contained installment of survival, coupled with the striking desert frames and dark buddy comedy that we've wanted to see more of since the beginning. I think this episode has some of the best filmmaking in the entire show, as we see that in the very very wide and close-up shots that are effectively used to convey the emotional details of a performance, yet also the engulfing nature of the desert world that both these characters are in. The staging of action is further genius, and it makes for a thrilling set piece where Mike shoots the driver that had been tracking them once Jimmy drew him out. For most of Better Call Saul, we've seen Jimmy and Mike, two of the main characters, on paths away from each other, with their worlds only coming together ever so often. But in Bagman, we saw the merging of those worlds in ways we'll never forget, and deep-rooted performances that show what the Bad Choice Road truly involves. And speaking of Bad Choice Road, the episode that follows doesn't slow down in capturing TV of the highest order with a very meaningful sequence right from the get-go. We get a montage at the start of the episode with its split screen depicting the journeys of both Jimmy and Kim, with Jimmy dying of dehydration in the desert following Bagman, and Kim worrying for his safety. Jimmy's near-death experience and his refusal to be honest about it creates a split between the newly wedded couple. Like Bagman, it has plenty of unforgettable moments, whether that be with a focus on Jimmy's PTSD in the scenes with Mike, or with one of the best Kim Wexler scenes we ever got put to the small screen. In particular, that was a tension-filled climax in Kim and Jimmy's living room, with Lalo stopping by and Mike watching over them with a sniper once again. We get a scene-stealing performance by Ray Seahorn and a conversation that will come to haunt the couple when Lalo next stops by in season 6. When you thought that this episode may have taken its foot off the gas after Bagman, you find yourself on the edge of your seat in its final moments, and it does so with more silence than the show has done before. It's a beautifully crafted episode that highlights the importance of the characters' actions and the consequences that will eventually come on this road. These consequences were still mysterious at the time, but looking back, it's a crucial episode when it comes to constructing the final arc of Better Call Saul. And to follow it up with a triple threat of the final episodes of Season 5, the finale, Something Unforgivable, also manages to make my list of the greatest episodes one which sets the stage for a masterful final season. We saw in the episode that after being invited into the Salamanca's compound, Nacho was pressured to let Gus's squad into the base to assassinate Lalo. But it's in the final moments that we learn that Lalo managed to escape death and bring such a thing on all of his attackers. While he was left on a path of revenge, we got an ending to season 5 that also focused on Kim ready to break bad, aiming to pull a career-destroying and ultimately life-ending prank on Howard. We've seen Jimmy destroy his car and the both of them feud with the lawyer in the seasons prior, but as the long game of this show has taught us, things were always going to get worse. And with the assassination attempt on Lalo's life being contrasted with this, Something Unforgivable showed that one woman's turn and another man's building anger were all leading towards collateral damage. Tony Dalton's haunting performance and final walk past the camera is the greatest way to end this penultimate season, becoming the worst news for the lawyer couple that led him back to Mexico in the first place. The pieces were set in motion and the ever-building tension boiled in season 5, and this finale is the best way to set up the deadly consequences that we all knew were coming. And this is where I finally come to season 6, and I think that there are 3 episodes that really stand out to me. Now, I could also include examples like Point and Shoot, Fun and Games, Breaking Bad, or Nippy on here too, being episodes that equally left me stunned in the various approaches they brought. But the 3 I've chosen are the ones that have stayed with me the most in the weeks since the series finished, and there are individual attributes in each from a character and storytelling perspective which really stand out when discussing the concluding beats of this show. Starting with the third episode of the final season, Rock and Hard Place is by far one of my favourite episodes of Better Call Saul's final run, but also one of my favourites in the whole Breaking Bad universe. Of course, Nacho Varga was only mentioned once in Breaking Bad, but the prequel series gave us the full compelling arc of Michael Mando's troubled cartel character, and this particular example provided the most powerful of endings that we could never have imagined. Nacho himself knew that there was only one way for things to go, but it results in the most emotional, captivating, and fulfilling send-off for his character. Nacho accepts the play of death, but does it his way, making a hard sacrifice to protect his father and helping to temporarily clear Gus from the cartel. Mando's performance in this episode is probably my favourite in the entire year of TV that's aired so far, and up until his explosive speech, he really does a fantastic job of conveying a man who cannot escape, but one that still finds purpose in death. The silent, tension-filled scenes of him hiding in an oil tank from the Salamanca cousins, the meaningful cinematography like the opening blue flower shot to show that life has grown in that initial spot of death, and the supporting glances from Mike in those fateful proceedings really evolved this episode into one of the most striking ones. To me, it's a perfect symphony for a supporting player, showing that the less central characters involved are the ones who are truly engulfed by the cartel world. He's a character that's doomed by his relationships with them, but yet in the end, he still gets the opportunity to make a final satisfying speech, telling them how he truly feels. If this warning of an episode didn't make it clear that there would be extreme consequences for the main and supporting players, then the next one I'm going to discuss truly does. And that indeed was the shocking episode that came just before the mid-season break with plan and execution. Like with Nacho in Rock and Hard Place, we got an ending for Howard Hamlin in which he gets to go out telling Jimmy and Kim what he truly thinks, but instead of him taking his own life, it was Lalo Salamanca who brought all the consequences with him. We saw the superb completion when it comes to merging both the worlds of the cartel with the lawyer one, and it all exploded on screen following Jimmy and Kim's plans to destroy Howard's career. In the final season, Patrick Fabian's Howard Hamlin was presented as a more damaged human soul than the person we originally met, and I guess the same could be said about Chuck before his fateful death seasons prior. Chuck's legacy is used as a backdrop to this episode with the painting scene and then with the final speech from Howard, and watching Jimmy and Kim step by step destroy his reputation for fun and then seeing Howard's side of that, it really puts things into perspective. Indeed, the mid-season finale was the moment where all the pieces came together, and the psychological events of the final sequence really get you anticipating the second half of the season all the more. With a cartel assassin shooting Howard soon after his monologue, the show makes a cruel statement about the reality of the situation, which Kim and Jimmy have perpetuated themselves. It promised a final half season of character interrogations and further consequences, and plan and execution as a whole lives up to its title individually. The cinematography is again unforgettable in this episode, and the focus on details like the eventual blood-stained candle really act as objects that stick with you knowing what happens. Just like it sticks with Jimmy and Kim and completely transforms them as individuals come the final 6 episodes. And this brings me to the final episode of the show, Saul Gone. It was the moment of truth for such a fantastic entry within the TV medium, and we weren't quite sure how Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould would pull it all off. But what we got was the right ending for Saul Goodman, who had finally come full circle. The episode includes flashbacks with characters we all know and the return of characters in the present, yet it uses these moments and appearances to fully bring Jimmy's journey to an end, and huge meaning in those final steps. steps. The episode's last moments are quite beautiful to say the least, and as we learn, Jimmy throws away a short prison sentence in the aim to atone for his sins and ultimately do the right thing. Time and time again, we've seen Jimmy repeat his cycle, yet it was the fulfilling end to the show that gave us a redemption of character. Yet it also stayed true to who this man truly is, and we're given a glimpse of his life in prison, where slipping Jimmy looks quite at home. To make this even more of a fitting ending, we have the visiting of Kim Wexler, with the both of them sharing a cigarette, just like they did in that very first episode. In the finale, Jimmy McGill got what he deserved, but he also made it right with Kim and went out with no regrets. Better Call Saul ended as it begun, an intelligent show deeply focused on human nature, and just like Breaking Bad, it gave us so many memories and fantastic episodes to look back on. Saul Gone is the perfect ending point for everything the show has built on, giving us satisfying endings to both the arcs of Jimmy McGill and Kim Wexler, and doing so with long-lasting, artful storytelling that is truly focused on the details surrounding the characters and the world we've seen on TV for well over a decade. But that was my video essay on my favourite episodes of Better Call Saul. There's been so many memorable episodes from this show, and as I said before, I think you could add so many more to this list. Whether it be Lantern, Wexler v Goodman, Point and Shoot, Fun and Games, Nippy, or even Waterworks. These were some that I also considered, but on rewatch, the episodes I chose were the ones that stayed with me the most. We all have our own thoughts towards what the best episodes are, and I think because this show has been so consistent and expertly produced, many of us will have very different takes. But let me know down below in the comment section what you think the best episodes from Better Call Saul are, and how those particular examples impact the show's storyline and characters in a powerful way. For more videos on the Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad universe, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.